The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, everyone, and let me introduce Pam Tucker, Vice Chair of the GOP here in New Hampshire. Pam, how are you doing now?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on again. It's good to see you.
Good. Well, I know you're a very busy woman getting this campaign ready. How's everything going as far as organization is going? You have enough people helping you? And what big events are we going to look forward to?
Well, Carl, I've had a lot of people helping me. And as you know, recruiting candidates to run for the state representative seats, the New Hampshire House, is somewhat of a daunting task for anybody. And so for the past year or so, I've been kind of spearheading it up across the state to find 400 people who are willing to step up and make a difference for our state. And me, combined with many, many other people who have helped me, because I certainly can't take credit for all of this, we were able to fill almost 370 of the 400 seats across the state. That's from the top of Coas County all the way down to your neck of the woods, Nashua, where we filled almost every single seat. And all the other counties, we did very, very well in terms of filling all seats that are competitive. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to everyone who's helped. I know you helped. I know Bill Ohm over in Nashua helped. Many people in Nashua helped. And one of the star things that I'd like to point out about the people we recruited is we have over 110 women running for the New Hampshire House.
Wow.
And that's a big number of women. And I just want to say that because a lot of times you hear the woman's voice out there in politics, and it isn't necessarily a diverse voice. It's one voice saying, women need the government to set their wages for them, to take care of them, to get their food for them. Well, I'm telling you, there is a big group of women out there who are independent and fierce, and they are running for office. They want to have a voice in this election, and they are going to have a voice in the New Hampshire House in the coming 2 years.
Good. That's nice to hear. It's always, you want to get a lot of opinions up there, and you want to have good discussions, not the type of work that's being done right now up there in Concord.
Certainly. You do want diverse opinions. You do want to hear the other side of the story, because there isn't just one voice, and it's never a one voice fits all for everybody. And you know that, having served up there. So it's good to hear all sides from everyone. And I am so proud of all of the women that we have recruited.
Well, I'm proud of the job you've done, too. And I know here in Nashua, we're going to be busy because we have a lot of new people that are running for office.
Yes, you do, but they're very enthusiastic and informed, and I think they will make a difference because they want change. They don't want an income tax and a sales tax. They don't want more government intrusion in their life. They want school choice, and that's why these people are running, to make sure that the citizens of New Hampshire have those choices.
That's right. Choice is something New Hampshire people are very well known for. They want to have something that they want, not what somebody wants for them.
Exactly. And that's the live free or die. It's very true in this state that we are fiercely independent people up here, aren't we?
Well, yeah. And we're getting some people in, too. I guess the whole organization is to to be part of the national fight, too. And who's coming up soon this month, I understand, to talk to us?
Well, right in your neck of the woods in Nashua,
right.
Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas is going to be paying a visit at the end of the month. On the last Friday of the month, he's going to be down there for the Hillsborough County Republican Committee meeting. I believe the tickets are almost all sold out, so you'll have to get them fast. I think we were down to about 20 tickets because there isn't as many anymore, obviously, because of distancing that we have to do. But the candidates are going. He's going to come talk to us, tell us about what's going on in Washington, all of the great things that President Trump has done for us, and why we need to continue to have 4 more years.
Well, I'm going to be trying for that ticket then. So have you had any problems with getting other things organized yet? I mean, I know it's a lot of work.
Well, everything is a lot of work, but if you're dedicated to what you're doing, Carl, we can get it done. And I think with Nashua, with everyone who's running there, and we filled every single Senate seat as well, everyone will be working together. We have a cohesive message, whether it's the House or the Senate or even our congressional candidates, that we want choice. We don't want more taxes. We don't want more government involvement in our life. And you know what else we want? We want to keep New Hampshire safe, and being safe is very important. And so we want to elect candidates who want to make sure New Hampshire stays safe.
And if you're looking at it too, at different regions have different circumstances. So you're being very appropriate for whatever the area is, the situation is in that area.
Sure. And when we talk about choice, Carl, one of the things that just happened this week is the reopening of the schools under Governor Sununu. And I think he made a very wise choice in leaving it up to the local communities to choose how they want to do it. I truly believe that the schools in Nashua do need to open up a little bit differently than some of the schools up in Grafton or Carroll or even Coos County. They all have unique circumstances. Each school is unique in and of itself, as well as the children. And so I believe that the local community and the local control can make the best decisions for their children.
I agree with you. And I know the 2 big cities, Nashua and Manchester, probably have the severest limitations because of the size and the population.
Sure, and you also have had a lot of the cases of COVID over there as well, whereas up north they haven't had as many. And even over here, I live over on the seacoast, we haven't had that many cases of COVID. And we see it across the state that the number of hospitalizations continues to go down, even though testing is going through the roof. I mean, nationally, we're testing over 600,000 people a day. And so when you see these numbers that say, oh my gosh, the number of cases of COVID is rising, well, yes, it's because we're testing more. I think the true indicator of what's happening with COVID is how many people are hospitalized. And that's the number that we got to keep an eye on, because when that starts to spike, that's when we need to be very concerned. And we've got to remember, what were the goalposts when we started the shutdown? The goalpost was to level the curve. I think we and Governor Sununu have done an excellent job of keeping that curve pretty flat.
Right. I think the record talks for itself. You're doing a good job, and the governor is doing very well in his job in balancing a very difficult situation politically.
Yes, it is. And it's unfortunate that this disease, COVID, and mask wearing has become politicized. It really is, because we just really want what's best for the health of everyone.
Mm-hmm. Well, what other things do we look forward to the meeting at the end of the month?
Well, we have Tom Cotton coming up. I know that the Nashua Republican Committee meeting is meeting shortly, and I think that's to bring all of the candidates together. I know that the RNC, the Trump campaign, has already started doing doors again. And from what I hear, they're getting a very enthusiastic response of going to doors. Of course, they're doing it in a very distancing way, so it's very safe for everyone. We don't want to endanger anyone. And the response has been overwhelmingly positive on the doors that they've knocked. So I imagine there will be some door knocking in this campaign cycle. It may not be to the extent it has been in the past, but we will be out there knocking doors. And I expect to be over in Nashua helping you all out over there.
Oh, good. I look forward to that. Are we have
super in Ryan Terrell? I'm so grateful he came to the Nashua Republican meeting back in January, and I was able to meet him then.
Hey, is President Trump going to come back? redo his trip up here to Pease Air Force Base?
Well, we're hoping he will. It was unfortunate that they canceled at last minute, and it truly was last minute. I had just finished doing the film for the Team Trump Online, and we finished up, I think, right around 11-ish or so. And a half an hour later, I got the text that it was canceled. And I was really disappointed because we were talking about him coming at that point and the things and all of the accomplishments he had and why the rally was going to be successful. So we were all disappointed that he couldn't make it, but it's understandable. We didn't know the weather was going to be bad or better, and thankfully it was great, though unfortunately I didn't get any of my indoor projects done this past weekend. But they have to make a decision that's right for the president and for the safety of the president, as well as everyone who was there. And just to point out, I was talking to someone who was over at Pease earlier that day, and they had a platform, a nice big metal platform, all set up for all of the reporters. I don't think that would have been very safe if a lightning storm came through for all of those reporters. So it wasn't just for President Trump, it was for everyone who was there that they canceled.
Well, I know I was up in Maine, and the weather just moved fast because the night before he was supposed to be here, we had 50-mile-an-hour winds on the coast in Maine. And you could say that was scheduled to be at that night on Saturday night instead of Friday night.
Yes, and no, the weather's changing. I mean, if you look back this past week, they've been wrong probably about 5 out of the 7 nights, unfortunately.
Well, I hope we have a nice weather the rest of the time. We like to see people out enjoying themselves again, and we like to see things that are in the open spaces because that gives you the space between people, makes people feel a little bit more comfortable coming to some of these political events. And I think our main objective is getting people out there to know what our candidates believe in and why they should be elected, why they can make a better New Hampshire. And that's what we're all looking for, a better economic situation for our state.
Yes, and I know that the economy is getting better when you look at all of the metrics that are going on. I mean, it's amazing what the jobs report was. The U.S. economy added 4.8 million jobs back in June. I mean, this set a new record. That is the largest one-month gain in U.S. history. And so between May and June, we've added nearly 7.5 million jobs back to the U.S. economy. I mean, this far and away blew away any of the economists' predictions. So people do want to get out. And you see help wanted signs everywhere because people are coming, people are buying. Manufacturing is up and running again. There was, of those jobs, 356,000 of them were in manufacturing. So it's not just retail, it is across the board that the jobs are coming back. And this is because of President Trump's leadership and his policies. So we got to continue this. The last thing we need right now is to jump ships midstream as we continue this economic recovery.
I think it's very obvious here in New Hampshire that we were doing well as a state, and even despite the virus and all the problems it caused people who had to work, we're still pretty much on the, close to what we needed for our budget.
Yes, we did well. We know the rooms and meals taxes are way low, and we expect that because people aren't traveling. But I think what's going to happen is they're going to take a look at the budget and see what's coming in, and if it's necessary, you do have to trim here and there because we have to have a balanced budget, as you know, in the state. Thankfully, They wrote that into the Constitution.
Well, I think he's done a good job in juggling all the balls that are up in the air because some are more than they expected and some are a little bit less. But it hasn't been the real disaster that it could have been.
Unfortunately, no matter what Governor Sununu does or what President Trump does, the opposition is just going to try and hammer away at them, no matter what great decisions that they make. And so we've just got to continue to get out our message of the strong economy, the comeback that we're doing. I mean, between Governor Sununu and President Trump, we are coming back, and New Hampshire will be as strong as it was before with that, what was it, record low 3.2% unemployment rate?
Right, right. Well, we're doing pretty well, even knocking that unemployment rate down right now, and getting people back on the back to work. Or we're finding out it might be more efficient for some companies to have the people work from home. A lot of people I know, relatives of mine, are doing well working from home.
Well,
And,
anecdotally, that's worked out well here too. When we all locked down in March, my daughter came home from daughters came home from school, and my husband came home from work. He traveled all the time, and it's working out well. That we're grateful we have the room, that everyone has their own little space. But I think the whole idea of going to the office every day is going to be rethought by many companies, and the amount of rent they're paying for all of this office space. It'll be interesting to see. I think it's going to be a big change.
well, hopefully it's handled well. I know we have a lot of legislation that still has to be passed the governor, and I'm not sure how much of the stuff that he's going to like and how much he's going to dislike enough to veto.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see how much they get through. I mean, the time is really crunching now, especially now that we're going to be hitting full-fledged campaign season, and all of the current representatives, Republican and Democrat alike, who are running again, are going to be busy working on their campaigns. And although the legislative issues are extremely important, they've got to win re-election to make these things happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens. You have a bit of a primary, and I'm not sure there are too many big primary situations, but we do have people running for the federal offices that they do have primaries. And it's going to be interesting from that viewpoint on see how how that works out, because they have we have more than one good candidate for each office.
Yes, you have a primary in your congressional district too. I think you have a few candidates running for that, and then congressional district 1, we call it CD1. Those of us who talk about it a lot, we have a pretty strong primary with 2 very good candidates there. I mean, and of course, Senator Shaheen, the Republicans have a primary against her as well. So there's a lot of excitement and a lot of enthusiasm out there. And I would have to say that's what the primary is showing you, is that there are a lot of people who want to make a difference and want to make this state and this country better. And that's why they're running for office.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know our people, the voters, want to know more about the candidates. And I think one of the efforts we're making here is interviewing people like you to find out what's going on, what's really happening in the work, so that people feel comfortable knowing, getting more information about the election process and the feelings of the candidates.
Sure. And I think you're going to see a lot more on the digital front as well, Carl. Just because there are people who can't be reached door to door and people who won't answer their doors. But it seems everybody is on some form of social media, whether it be the Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, of all things, and of course, Facebook for us old folks. My kids won't even touch Facebook now. I think you're going to see a lot more information coming through those channels to help reach the audiences out there. So that way we have an informed electorate, and they're not just hearing one side of a story. They can research the issues. They'll be able to research the candidates. Many of the candidates already have up Facebook pages that you can visit and see where they stand on the issues. And one thing I do like about the candidates I work with is that they're accessible. They want to represent the people. And so therefore, they're giving you an email or a phone number that you can call them and talk to them, because they want to know what the issues in your neighborhood are that on the state level they can help fix. I mean, certainly your local street is going to be a town issue, but if it's a state street, that's something your state representative can help you with and can get it fixed. If the pavement's flying apart or it needs to be repaved or it's going too fast, those are issues that your state representatives should be helping you on. And so the people I see running for office want to bring it back locally and take care of the people that they represent.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
and when you ran for office, you knew that. You answered those constituents' calls.
well, that's one of the things you have to hear. I mean, you have to talk to them. You have to understand what they're looking at, and sometimes you have to explain why you think something might be a little bit better for them, and because they don't get all the information that the candidates or the people who have held office are aware of, how things work in the state. I mean, that's something that I learned quite quickly being on public works for so long. And those are the big jobs that they have to worry about. It's sorting them out kind of hard.
It is, and it's very hard to explain a very complicated or complex subject in sound bites. And a lot of times that's all people hear is a sound bite, and they don't hear why that this wasn't a good idea. They just hear the soundbite that, oh, they just voted against this or they voted for this. And that's not what they need to understand. They need to understand there's a solid reason based on fact of why someone would vote one way or the other. And it is more than likely it's to, for the benefit of that town and the people and the basic constitutional platform that we all stand on and we try and protect when we're up there.
I think that's why I have you on for 27 minutes, too, because you do a good job of explaining the situation and things that are happening. And I don't know, one of the problems might be people who have to vote this year. How many are going to vote by ballot, by mail? How's that going to work out? Is that going to be a problem?
Well, I don't think absentee has been a problem in the past, so I don't foresee it being a problem in the coming future. What we don't want is, wholesale, mail out ballots to everyone who's a registered voter, right, because we know that is wrought for fraud. What we do want is your local town clerks or city clerks, in your case, knowing who's asking for the absentee ballot and getting them out. And it's worked fine in my town and in many other towns. And I believe it will continue to do so. And I just talked to someone who's part of the Municipal Association of Clerks the other night, and she did tell me that there is already a large amount of requests for absentee ballots. Mm-hmm. And that's a thing. If you don't feel comfortable standing in line to vote, you have that option.
Well, yeah, I think that's the situation, the normal situation, if it's not overwhelmed, works very well. I know here in Nashua, they have a reputation for clearing the voter lists, periodically mailing things to make sure people are still there. If they haven't voted in 2 elections, do they still live there? Have they died? Have they moved? Whatever. But you want to keep those voter things fresh. Some of the stories you hear about some of the big cities that they have more people on the voter rolls than there are people living in there, and that tells you something, something you haven't cleaned your voter list.
Sure, there's that, and then wasn't the issue there was I don't know, it must have been about 8 years back, wasn't it? Like Representative Dee Hogan's at the time, wasn't her niece or someone had voted for her, and she went in. Someone had already voted as her. I mean, there's a reason why we've got to keep those lists clean, and I applaud your city clerks if they are doing that. That's a very smart thing to do to keep our elections clean. Because if we are having elections where people are challenging them all the time, this nationally can really bode awful for us, both Republicans and Democrats. You think about the first in the nation here and the integrity of here. It's very important that we have high integrity voting here. And so I applaud your city clerks for keeping the ballots clean. Mm-hmm.
Well, we talked a lot about the different things going on, what might be going on. Is there any party set for winning something in November?
Well, in political terms, Carl, that is a lifetime away. September at this point. The primary is still a lifetime away, although I'm sure all of the candidates on both sides of the aisle who are in a primary are hoping it comes sooner versus later, because it is a long battle when you're in a primary. Plus, the next month, let's be honest here. The month of August, a lot of people aren't necessarily paying a whole lot of attention to politics, either national or local, and certainly on the local level. So I think come the very end of August, when the kids hopefully are all going back to school, people start to retune and listen to what's going on and get involved in the primaries then. And between now and then, there will be a lot of fundraising. There will be a lot of activity with Republican events out there of trying to keep the enthusiasm going, because there is a lot of enthusiasm out there to keep that momentum from the level of the president down. Keep the enthusiasm going and to get out the votes come the primary, because that's going to be a telltale sign for those primary candidates. And then we'll run it right through the next 6-7 weeks, all the way to the general, just building on it week by week until the general election in November for another win.
Okay. Well, let's make a plan right now, Pam, to have you back on right after the primary. Okay. Tell us how it went and how it's going to go for the November election. Okay.
Sure, I would love to do that. I'll come back on and we can talk to it, and we can run the numbers, if you will, to see what happened and the winners and the losers, and go through it, and then just shake hands and move forward, no matter what side you were on. Thank you for me. I don't have to get involved in primaries, which is actually a blessing, because I like people on both parties.
Okay, very good. Thanks again for coming on, Pam, and you're always a good person to talk to.
Well, thank you for having me, Carl. It's always a joy to talk to you. I'm sorry we can't be there in person together, but I'm sure we'll be together soon enough. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you again.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.